Product provided by and video sponsored by DNA. Greetings, Boogie fans! Michael here, and this will be my final sponsored video on Pokemon Masters. Thanks so much to DNA for supporting the channel, and don't forget to download Pokemon Masters for yourself using the link in the description below. One of the biggest allures of Pokemon Masters is collecting sync pairs. In case you've been living under a rock, a sync pair is the term for a Pokemon and famous trainer pair that you collect as you progress through Pokemon Masters. These famous trainers are from various regions, and they are gym leaders, or Elite Four members, or frontier brains, or champions, or protagonists, or one of several other categories. And their Pokemon is usually their signature Pokemon, you know, their main, strongest one, but at the very least, the Pokemon aligns with their signature type, if they have one. Building up your squad of sync pairs and powering them up is one of the most fun aspects of the game. So I thought it would be fun to count down my top 10 favorite sync pairs in Pokemon Masters. Some quick disclaimers, I did say my top 10 favorite, not the top 10 strongest. So if a sync pair is really strong in battle, I am probably gonna like it more, but that is not the only metric for the rankings in this video. Additionally, in order for me to really like a sync pair, I kinda have to have it and have used it, so the only sync pairs that will be involved in this video are ones that I myself have scouted. Also, in case it wasn't obvious, I will only be covering sync pairs that are in the game at the time of writing this video. So, for example, Cynthia and Garchomp. We have seen them in the game, we know they will be in the game, but they are not currently obtainable, so they don't count. So don't forget to leave a like on the video, and let's get started with number 10, Bugsy and Beedrill. Bugsy and Beedrill are a sync pair that I didn't receive until I had completed the main story. Whenever I needed a bug type, I had been using Viola and Surskit, or later Masquerain. However, I wasn't in love with Viola and Masquerain, and that's for two reasons. The first is that they're a tech class sync pair, so they tend to do not as much damage, when most of the time when I needed a bug type, it was because I needed a striker for super effective damage to take out the enemy Pokemon. The second reason is that Viola says fantastique every other word and it drives me nuts! But then I scouted Bugsy and Beedrill, and my goodness, they were a fantastic improvement. Beedrill has incredibly high attack and speed that get even better once it gets off a sync move and becomes Mega Beedrill. They are pretty frail, I will admit, but since the AI will always target your tankiest Pokemon and leave your other ones alone, most of the time that's fine. Twin Needle's 2 hits are very satisfying, especially when you poison them, and finishing off an enemy with Fell Stinger and then boosting your own attack, getting even stronger, is fantastic. Bugsy and Beedrill are what allowed me to defeat Liza's very hard super course for the first time ever, so I'll always like them because of that. Also, of course, Mega Beedrill, always dope. Number 9 is Kris and Feraligatr. I pulled Kris and Totodile early on, which was very fortunate. They're a 5-star pair, and they gave me an alternate strong water type option over Berry and Empoleon, which was nice because I don't like Empoleon. Because I pulled them so early, I got to use Kris and Feraligatr throughout a large amount of the story, and it was really fun to do. Waterfall hit pretty hard, but then it got even better once I unlocked their passive skill that turned Mega Kick into a water type move. It hits like a train when it hits. 75% accuracy is not great. Also, Kris is a really cool character that we haven't seen since Gen 2, so seeing her get some representation in a cool new 3D model is really awesome. Number 8 is Brendan and Treecko. If you've been watching my content for a while, you likely know that Sceptile is my all-time favorite Pokemon, and that Pokemon Ruby was my first Pokemon game ever, so therefore my first in-Pokemon game experience was as Brendan. Therefore, one might assume that Brendan and Treecko would be substantially higher on this list than number 8. And that is a completely fair assumption. There's just two reasons why they're at number 8 and not higher. The first is that I didn't scout them until after I had completed the main story, so I simply haven't had much of a chance to use them. The second is that Treecko can't evolve. Now, while that doesn't affect their battle prowess, because weirdly Treecko has like the highest and second highest attack and special attack in the whole game, it's still disappointing because I simply like Sceptile more than Treecko. But even so, these guys are still in my top 10 because I love Treecko and I love Hoenn, and also a Treecko is like the strongest Pokemon in the game. That's hilarious. Number 7 is Hau and Alolan Raichu. At the time of writing this video, the only electric type sync pairs that I have obtained have been the story ones. Those being the protagonist and Pikachu, then Hau and Alolan Raichu. And oh my gosh, as soon as I got Hau and Alolan Raichu, that was a massive upgrade. For one, Hau has friendly voice lines, while the protagonist is silent. I like it when the characters talk to me, except when they keep saying "Fantastique!" But also, Discharge is amazing. It hits like a truck and hits the entire enemy team. I just absolutely love focusing on one enemy Pokemon and then taking out the other ones in the process. Plus, I simply like Alolan Raichu as a Pokemon, so extra points. Number 6 is Rosa and Serperior. Rosa and Serperior are widely considered to be the best sync pair you can get through the story. You get Rosa and Snivy very early on, and they're immediately fantastic as your squad's support/tank. Boosting the special attack of your entire team is really helpful when you're using mainly special attackers, and instantly replenishing the move gauge is super nice and comes in really clutch. Plus, Rosa was a treasure trove of wonderful facial expressions throughout the whole story. All in all, they're a great sync pair that was really fun to use all throughout. Except when I was trying to evolve Servine into a Serperior, why did it take 10 tries to beat an Onix with a grass type? Number 5 is Iris and Haxorus. Haxorus has been one of my all-time favorite Pokemon for many years. Back in Black 2, I defeated the Pokemon World Tournament using a Haxorus named Razor that hit like a truck. And ever since then, I've had a strong affinity for Haxorus because I have really good memories of that experience. I haven't used Haxorus in a long time though, but using Iris and Haxorus in Pokemon Masters really rekindled my love for the Pokemon. Gosh, it is just so fun to smack the enemy Pokemon into next week with a powered-up Dragon Claw. It's just boosh! Also, they have the coolest looking sync move in the entire game. Just look at this dope lake of rainbow fire. That is amazing. Number 4 is Karen and Houndoom. I've always liked Karen, you know, because she's got a great personality. But there's almost no lore about her. Like many Elite Four members, she shows up in her game's Pokemon League, and then nowhere else. Not in any other games, not anywhere else in her game, not in the anime, nowhere. Well, except the Pokemon Adventures manga, but that's a very different world and she's a very different character there, so that doesn't count. So I really liked getting to see her in Pokemon Masters. We get to learn a lot more about her personality and life philosophy that we didn't know before. Plus, Houndoom is super strong. It's fun to just cripple your enemy's special attack with Snarl over and over again, but then once you can Mega Evolve and become Mega Houndoom, you can destroy almost anything with Dark Pulse. It is so fun. Karen and Houndoom are what allowed me to defeat Tate's very hard super course for the first time, and they will be my go-to dark type attackers from here on out. Number 3 is Phoebe and Dusclops. Phoebe is in a similar situation to Karen. She's in her game's Pokemon Leagues and then nowhere else. That's a shame because I've always thought she was a really interesting character and I wanted to know more. But Pokemon Masters gave us that chance. We get to learn about her happy-go-lucky, carefree personality and how she thinks it's amusing that Dusclops absorbs spirits despite not knowing what happens to the spirits. Actually, that part's pretty unsettling, but it's also funny. But the main reason I love this pair is that I have used them more than any other. Dusclops is the best support Pokemon in the game, boasting fantastic defenses, an item to boost your entire team's crit rate, and a cheer that not only replenishes your move gauge, but also boosts your whole team's physical attack the lower Dusclops' health is. That works extremely well because Dusclops is the tank. It's the one going to be taking all of the hits, so its health is going to go down, meaning you can boost the rest of your team's attack even more effectively. Phoebe and Dusclops have been on my team for the vast majority of all the battles I have done in Pokemon Masters. Basically, if I was taking on a course where I needed a physical attacker, Dusclops was right there next to them. Because I've used them so much, I've grown really fond of them. Number 2 is Olivia and Lycanroc. The first 5-star sync pair I scouted, and the second sync pair I scouted overall, excluding Whitney, but we don't talk about Whitney, was Olivia. And when it first happened, I didn't realize how truly fortunate I was. Lycanroc is fantastically powerful. It's got a really high attack stat, and Stone Edge hits extremely hard. The only downside is that it's not super accurate. However, Lycanroc gets access to a move that boosts its own accuracy, which handles that problem. And remember how I said that I almost always had Phoebe and Dusclops on my team? Well, a big reason for that is because of Olivia and Lycanroc. They pair fantastically together. Lycanroc has a passive skill that boosts its speed every time it lands a critical hit. Dusclops can boost Lycanroc's critical hit ratio. It's a fantastic combo. Obtaining one of the best sync pairs in the game so early on made my playthrough a lot more enjoyable, so I'll always think of Olivia and Lycanroc fondly as a result. Before I reveal number 1, here are some honorable mentions. These are sync pairs that I have not scouted yet, but would like to because they seem fun. The first is Will and Xatu. If you have watched my Pokemon Masters co-op video with Loxton and Birdkeeper Toby, you know that Xatu is amazing. It has the move Stored Power, which does more damage the more positive stat boosts that it has, no matter the stat. Combine that with its passive skill that prevents it from having its stats dropped, and you have a Pokemon that can do insane damage. Like more than a Unity move or a Sync move. It is wild. Oh my god, I need this pair. And the second is Nolan and Pinsir. While I did talk about enjoying using Bugsy and Beedrill, I have heard that Nolan and Pinsir are the best bug-type sync pair and one of the best overall sync pairs in the whole game. Therefore, I would like to scout them because I think it'd be fun to use. Additionally, seeing the obscure Emerald-only character of Nolan in 3D in a Pokemon game is just, that's cool. But now it's time for number 1, the last but farthest from the least, Blue and Pidgeot. Everyone loves Blue. You hate him when he's your rival, but then once he's a side character, he's wildly entertaining. He's funny, he's nice to you, and he's also super cocky. Yet his cockiness is justified because he genuinely is one of the greatest trainers in the world. I was so excited when I scouted him in Pidgeot because I had heard tales of their incredible power. And let me tell you all, the legends are true. This pair is amazing. Regular Pidgeot hits the entire team for pretty solid damage with Air Cutter. And like I talked about with Alolan Raichu's Discharge earlier, hitting all 3 enemy Pokemon is really nice. Things get really exciting when you Mega Evolve though, because basically nothing is surviving a Hurricane from a Mega Pidgeot. It is extremely powerful. Again, it's really inaccurate, which is annoying, but again, Blue and Pidgeot have a move that will boost their own accuracy, so problem solved. I went from getting nowhere close to beating Gardenia's very hard super course to absolutely decimating it with Blue. But just such a fantastic pair that's super cool and super strong, so they're definitely my favorite. So that wraps up my list of the top 10 sync pairs in Pokemon Masters. Thanks again to DNA for sponsoring all these videos on my channel, and thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to download Pokemon Masters for yourself using the link in the description below, and I will see you guys for the next video.